On the show today, relationships, particularly current relationships, how they show up in your dreams and what they mean. The symbol we're covering today is driving and car accidents. That's actually two symbols. And as always, we interpret the dreams you sent in during the week. Welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show about dreams and their meanings. I'm Michael Sheridan, and with me in studio is Heidi Brooke. Hello. Susan Pullen.
Hello.
And thanks to everyone who sent dreams to RadioShow at dream-analysis.com. We notified the winners of our Halloween competition last week. That was great, a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody there. Actually, though, Susan, your winner was in Australia and can't use the tickets. You said the two tickets to AMC wouldn't be worth the cost of the flight over. So you need to pick another winner.
Okay.
Anyway, please continue to send in your dreams, as we always need them for the show. You can always jump the queue and call us on 425-373-5527, and we will analyse your dream, connect with your guides for advice, or provide life coaching advice. Now, our feature this week is a part 2 of Susan's grand masterpiece.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we talked about how ex-partners can still influence us today and how we can find ourselves hesitating to follow our path in life because of our past partners' attitudes or reactions, even though we're no longer in the relationship. And this week, I wanted to talk about when we hold ourselves back because of the relationship that we're in now, because that's another thing that shows up in dreams.
Okay. So you're specifically talking about us holding ourselves back. But what about when you hold your partner back too? Can we flip it around too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have some examples?
No, I don't hold anybody back. What are you talking about? But you can look at it, really, when you're reading this out, people should listen to it from both sides, because we tend to have a bit of both. We hold our partner back, even just by simple things like, not being enthusiastic about something they really want to do, or being moody. I mean, that would be an obvious one. But we tend to only look at the side where they hold us back. But, we're usually guilty of both sides of that one. Yeah. Except me, of course. I hope Sandy isn't listening. Oh, we have a caller. It's Sandy. Okay.
So a few weeks ago probably, we covered a dream from a listener. And this is where I get my ideas from the dreams that we do, but I'm always looking back, so sorry. But the dream included a woman's boyfriend, and it starts out with them walking together, and then she goes ahead without him to the place next door for a work meeting. And part of your interpretation, Michael, was that the dream was encouraging her to take her own path. And it wasn't about leaving him, it was just that she needed to do her own thing in her life.
She was going to rocket off ahead of him, essentially. I toned it down. Actually, that's where a lot of people have issues, because they would say, and even me and my partner, we're recently married, by the way.
Yes, congratulations.
So we discussed what we each wanted to do, in our careers. And they're slightly different, but they overlap a lot. And one of the big mistakes that you will make is to say, okay, let's form a joint business and we'll try to do something together. And that's not always the way you should do it, because you should be independent. You should be doing what you're meant to be doing. And if it overlaps and if it can complement, then fantastic. But if it doesn't, then the other person needs to be independent enough to continue what they're doing. And you need to also be independent. You don't hold yourself back in any way so that somebody else can catch up. Marianne Williamson has that fantastic quote. You probably know it better than me. It's something along the lines of, who are you to dim your light so that others may shine more brightly? Mm-hmm. And a lot of us do that. And it's just crazy. Or we ask our partners to do it.
So all this got me thinking about how often I hear from people that they have some reluctance about developing their spiritual side or developing their spiritual gifts. Seems like especially channeling comes up in this way because they don't see it wouldn't fit in. They feel like it wouldn't fit in with their life, or like it wouldn't fit with how their friends see them or how their partner sees them.
Their partner doesn't want them to cross to the crazy side of the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Hang on. I didn't get the reaction out of Heidi I wanted there. She just was totally playing there. I said crazy side of the room.
Oh, I'm just used to your human side now. Over my head.
So in some cases, I hear from people that they hesitate to follow their path because of how they don't see how it would fit with their current life, their current relationship. And in some cases I hear, well, my husband doesn't believe in that, or, he wouldn't.
But when we really chalk it down and it does not come up in their dreams as a fear that they have, rather saying it doesn't fit in their life, is that because they're saying that as an excuse because of a fear? Is that what you're seeing a lot in dreams? Or is it other reasons also?
I definitely think fear ties in with it. I think that
not normal in society, which is kind of a fear.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a strong fear, but it is definitely, you see it with a lot of people, where one gets involved in something for whatever reason, and the other partner doesn't like that they're doing that. They don't like the New Age movement. They don't like whatever that field is because they have perceptions about it that they haven't researched, but they just still have perceptions.
Yeah. Some people have a religious leaning that
Block.
makes them, that. And some people, our culture is we're into science and evidence-based things. And
except Jesus. So, our society does allow, American society, more so than most, is extremely religious. And that doesn't require scientific evidence and basis. So you would imagine then that would allow people to say, okay, I can be open-minded about that, so I can be open-minded about other things that require a bit of faith. But that's the thing. New Age stuff and channeling doesn't require any faith because anybody can learn how to do it. Most people can learn how to do most things. And then when you can do it, you can say, okay, yeah, it's not like I'm not hearing answers. I know how to talk to my guides and I can do that. And it's the same with healing, doing healing energy, putting energy into somebody else. When you learn how to do that, you can feel the energy flow. And if somebody comes to you for maybe 3 times, they'll start to feel the energy flowing into them. So it is tangible and you can feel it. It's not just I think I feel good because I'm doing this. So it just requires a little bit of faith in the beginning and no other time. But it's the same with if you want to learn Chinese, that's going to require a bit of faith that you're going to be able to speak it by the end of a few lessons,
Yeah, yeah. But there are some people who are holding back from even, starting down that path, I think, because...
Definitely. 90% of people.
Yeah. So, and I can totally understand this because I took my first Indigenous healing class back in 1992, and my partner at the time was not into it. To the point that he made fun of me for it, really. And that it did put me off at the time.
Well, then I shouldn't say this joke. You're easy to make fun of. Okay, just move on. Pretend I didn't say that.
Okay.
No, you're not easy.
But I admit that I did let that hold me back for a while. That I just sort of put it on the back burner.
But that would be part of your path too, then, obviously. So achieving and pursuing your goals independently of somebody else's feelings about you achieving and pursuing your goals is going to be one of your things.
A life lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because to turn around and blame your partner is also a huge failing.
Yeah. So when I really worked on this for myself, when I really dug into it, what I found for myself was that it did bring up a lot of fear. And I wasn't just afraid that I would lose that relationship, but I was afraid that if I chose a spiritual path in my life, I would end up totally alone. And I think that this is not uncommon for people either.
I don't know, because there is a huge community that are into all this. I mean, there's enough of a community that there's a whole radio station devoted to it.
Totally. But that's, I mean, like, we did the show on overcoming the fears that are pointed out in your dreams. And, in that show we were talking about, like, fear is not a rational thing. And so I think we can be afraid that, if I become too woo-woo, nobody's going to want to spend time with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to alienate myself from my family, from my friends, from, a romantic relationship.
And in fairness, it can have that effect, but you gain other friends.
I also see that in the medical field anyway, a lot of doctors do use their intuition and their spiritual gifts, but they never talk about them because they won't be taken seriously. And in fact, they probably will lose their license. So there's that aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really freeing for me when I realized what the real fear was for me. And because then I could see through it, because obviously, as you say, there are lots of spiritual people who are in happy relationships. So
don't put that on them.
Well,
I'm joking.
I'm just saying it doesn't, following your path doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself.
No, not at all. Especially if you're, here's the other thing. What you will find, in your case, for instance, your path specifically pushes you to work with other people. Mm-hmm. So rather than it being a lonely path, it's quite the opposite. So you move from working behind a desk from 9 to 5 to out in public and opening your own business and advertising and doing a lot of things that you wouldn't have done before, but definitely the opposite of lonely.
Yeah. So let's go to a dream.
Okay.
I have an example I pulled out from the dreams that we've received. And
yes, and
I've
wanted to do this dream for a few weeks, and you keep saying, save it.
Yeah.
Save it for this show.
Yeah. So this is called Swimming with Whales. I'm with my boyfriend. We're in a pool of water indoors, something like an aquarium, but the water is very deep and it's open to the sea. A big whale, gray on top and white on the bottom, is swimming close by us. Then a wave carries the gray whale away, and there's a huge orca whale very close to us. I can practically touch its tail. I think I should back off a little bit to give it space so I don't get splashed by this giant tail. I just move maybe a foot or two away from it. It's very magical being so close to the whale. Then a bigger wave comes to carry the orca back to sea.
Okay, so we know it's about the relationship because the dreamer is with the boyfriend right at the start. That's the biggest clue to relationship dreams. Easiest subject matter to ever pick up on. But then this dream has that there, and it almost like it seems there's no other mention. So it seems like, I could ignore it, but you can't because this is the super important part of this dream. So that's the background, and then everything else, which is all spiritual, and it's about channeling because the orca whale is about channeling, and so is the grey whale. So these are saying this is what the important piece is about. But when we look at what the dreamer says, she says, I back off a little bit or I back away from it. So she can almost touch her channeling ability. And this is what people do all the time. They can already channel, but they say, well, I think I can get it stronger. I can get more in touch with it. And so you can, of course, with practice. But she says, okay, I'm going to back off from it a bit. So it's saying because of his presence, because he's there, she is backing away from using her ability. And the other thing is, it also gives us a clue as to how this happened. It starts off with a grey whale, and a grey is about uncertainty or a lack of commitment. So he puts a grey area in her mind, which becomes then an orca whale, which is black and white. So it goes from, I'm not sure, to, okay, I've made up my mind. It's black and white to me now. I need to back off a bit because it's, I'm a little bit too close to this. But you're only feeling too close to it because of that particular boyfriend. So this is something that you have to address.
Yeah. And I don't mean for us to just be picking on the boyfriends out there in the world. I know
yes, you do.
Certainly, no. I'm sure there are women out there too who are
less likely. Actually, women are more into this field than men in general.
I'm just trying to be fair.
Yeah,
we're equal opportunity here.
Equal opportunity attackers.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So because I know this comes up a lot for people where It's like their dream shows them, hey, you have this gift. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be weird or whatever. I don't want to risk my relationship. So I'm just gonna pass on that one because it's not really convenient for me. So, Heidi, I wanted to ask you in your conversations with guides about like what are the benefits? This brought up for me, what's at stake if we in following that guidance or in not following that guidance. So, like, what are the benefits of following the guidance from our guides or our higher self?
Well, the benefits of following the advice of your dreams and of your guides is that you will achieve what you're here to achieve, especially given the tools that you have that in being able to interpret your dreams and then take the next step. And especially if the guides are saying to you, have this, say, like the example you've used, have this channeling ability, and then you don't channel. That can be detrimental to your health also, as well as you're not fulfilling your life purpose. And to put it bluntly, you're wasting your life.
Yeah, there's no point being here. Depending on how much you pull back, it gets to a point where there's no point being here. And then there's another way where it's actually worse for you to be here because you're incurring karma because of the ongoing impact of you not pursuing your life purpose and how that affects all the other people, all the other souls. Let's remember we come from the spirit world. So all the other souls, you agreed that you're going to come here and you're going to help them by channeling, using your ability at some stage in your life when your paths cross. But then you don't develop your ability. So you've not just affected yourself, you've affected a lot of other people. So you can incur more karma from not doing something than you could possibly by doing it and getting it wrong.
Mm. And we may even have a karmic arrangement with our partner, right? That we're going to...
usually.
But that we're going to, I don't know, open their mind might not be the right word, but that us pursuing our spiritual path, developing our gifts is going to help them in some way as well.
Yes, but it's very hard to see the full picture from this side, so it's best if you can channel on it. If indeed they will give you the answers. But we quite often have karmic relationships, and that's very important to understand, because if you're having issues with your partner, for instance, you might say, okay, I'll cut the ties with my partner. Now that would be the death of that relationship. Mm-hmm. But quite often, or not quite often, but sometimes your guides will say, no, you can't, because it's a karmic relationship. You have issues that you need to resolve that are past life issues or whatever they happen to be. And so it's important for you to work through these and deal with these in this lifetime as well. So in that, if we were to take that last relationship, if it was karmic, then she can't cut the ties. She can't walk out of that relationship. She has to do something that allows her to get stronger in that environment. Strong enough to pursue whatever it is she's holding herself back from.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that one is.
Right.
But I mean, that's a simple question a channel could easily answer. And if you're cutting the ties, if you're going to do that, then that's something you can ask your guides when you meet them in that process.
And if you did cut the ties and walk away from that relationship, is it true then that you would see that scenario playing out in your next relationship?
Not necessarily, but yeah, whatever you haven't dealt with, you're going to attract in. So if a partner is able to push a button, then your next partner is going to push the same button if you didn't do something to eliminate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So following the guidance of our dreams and of our guides, of our higher self, it's always our choice, right?
Well,
I know.
I would say
more about that, Michael. I know you have more to say here.
Well, it's just we always temper it because we try to be nice. But when you consider that your life is a spiritual journey, you're only here because you need to be here to do something spiritual. To get caught up in like staying in a crazy job because you're going to be able to retire it and have an income and live out the rest of your life, it's not about that at all. It's about pursuing what you came here to do and achieving, I don't know what way to call it, like an escape velocity. Get to the point where you don't need to come back to the earth plane. And don't say, okay, well, I can do it in another life. I can come back as many times as I want. And a lot of people have that attitude. So you will see people, they'll say, I am loved by some religious higher power, and no matter what I do or don't do, I'm always going to be loved. Yes, your guides are like that, absolutely. But they will also be screaming at you and saying, you still have a life purpose. We will still love you, just like we will love a child if they don't eat their dinner. But it's really not a good thing, and when it comes to the spiritual adult not doing something that they're here to do, it's just absolutely crazy. You're better off not being here for a lot of the reasons than than saying, okay, everything's going to be fine because it's all hunky-dory. It's not always hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Did I say enough?
I think so.
I put down the shovel, stop digging.
And to put that in more perspective as well, I've actually given a few readings where the person wasn't kind of absorbing the severity of you need to do this or you will not be here much longer.
Yeah.
And the guides just kind of, they're like, no, they just keep repeating themselves and they don't talk about anything else. They're not here to answer, should you buy this house or buy that painting? You know, they're telling you what you need to do and you're ignoring it. So they kind of just say, well, you're not listening to us, so we're just going to keep repeating ourselves. So there's that element too, that they take it seriously and they need you to take it seriously. And that is part of the communication.
Because you can incur karma for doing the wrong thing, there's many points in your life plan where your higher self can pull the plug and take you off the planet. So that's also another thing to realize. That's how serious your higher self considers you going the wrong path can be. Not always, because they'll say, okay, let Michael go the wrong path because he will eventually realize, we can see where he's going, but he will eventually realize it and move back over and pick the trail back up. And that's mostly the way it happens. But if you really go completely wrong, then they can say, right, we're better off just pulling the plug on this one.
And have you ever seen that message in a dream?
Oh, yeah. It's usually about, going past exits and, doing various different things. Your dreams threw me for a while because you have so many exits. It was like, oh, wow, these are all serious warnings till we realized, no, you just hang around the realm of the dead.
Yeah.
It's your special party trick.
Yes.
So, but Heidi, I'm sure you've gotten that. You were alluding to that. You get that in readings where people are told, look, your health is at stake if you don't listen to this message.
Yes, and I've at least two, of course I'm not going to name them, but one has died since and another one has had a stroke.
Yeah.
And that is just recently. It was a month after the reading and she had a stroke. And then another one, I gave her a reading a year ago and she has since passed away. And
so it's really important to realize that they're warning you about all these things, like avoid this by getting back on your path, because anyway, on that positive note, we should probably take an ad break and we'll throw water on Heidi.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts. When you remove the old beliefs that keep you living the same patterns over and over in your career, relationships, or health, then your life begins to flow. It's as though you're in a boat, and in place of the waves that used to upset or rock your boat, you now have smooth, open water with the current carrying you where you want to go. It is my great pleasure to work with your guides and angels to teach you to clear old beliefs and conditioning, including cutting the ties, so you can have greater freedom and ease in your life. Work with me in person or over the phone. Call me today at 206-818-4680 or find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Clear, clean, and crisp. Check us out in digital quality sound on FM 98.9 HD3. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to So You Think You're Awake with Michael Sheridan, Heidi Brooke, and Susan Pullen. Our show is about dreams and their meanings, and our phone number is 425-373-5527 if you have a dream or a dream-related question. Heidi, you were saying something during the break.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, when they talk about, when I was talking about that people had actually passed away and, as you call it, Michael, the plug being pulled, it is a very serious occurrence. But the reason they're pulling the plug is because it's not the end. Because you will then work on yourself
On the spirit plane.
On the spirit
Exactly,
plane.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not to be like, oh, you've been given up on, and I just wanted to make that clear. It's just there's another path, and it's not on Earth right now.
All right, very good. Okay, so we were going to, our symbol today is driving, and we quite often get to the end of the show and don't cover it, so driving in its various different guises. Driving along a road is about striving towards your ideals or goals, as we use cars to take us from where we are to where we need to be. The dream can indicate movement forward mentally or spiritually. If a police officer is charging you with drink driving, it means you are being told drinking alcohol is affecting the pursuit of your goals. Similarly, a parking ticket is telling you that now is the time for action, set goals and pursue them. To receive penalty points for speeding or other driving violations signifies that something you are doing is incurring karma. In the pursuit of your goals, are you pushing your responsibilities onto someone else or blocking them for pursuing their goals? Ties right in with what we were talking about earlier. Driving towards a crossroads indicates difficulties ahead and the need to take care. Driving alongside a river indicates your spiritual path, as water here represents your spiritual side. It is common in these dreams for the river to have flooded the road at some point. It is usually not dangerous in the dream. This is a request to let your spiritual development become part of your quest, or more precisely, to use your spirituality in the pursuit of your goals. Driving with family means you are carrying family influences, which could be blocking you in the pursuit of your goals. For example, are you in the back seat or not in the driver's seat? Not being in the driving seat symbolises not being in charge of the direction of your life. In this case, the family member in the car is there to represent the issue or trait that is holding you back. Although very unusual, it is not always a negative influence. For example, if you dream of driving with a sibling who broke free from something that has affected both of you, the dream can be showing you that you two have to do what they did. Driving with someone can indicate you are carrying the influence of that person or a parent of the same gender. To dream of driving over the line at a traffic signal or a stop sign when your intention in the dream was to stop is a pun on overstepping your bounds in waking life. Whatever it is you've been doing recently, take a step back. It's not good. Driving on a highway or a motorway is about your heart and circulatory system, as these are the main arterial roads. The artery network of the body is part of the circulatory system. Actually, that's a good point. Coming to a stop sign, especially if it's a police officer trying to stop you in a dream, is a strong warning of the road, if the road ends, especially if it's at a tunnel, which it usually is in a dream. It's saying that your life is going to end. So your physical, it's just the physical end, as you say. I said I would cover accidents as well, so just quickly, because I realised that we went on a bit there. An accident, coming across an accident is usually a warning about a karmic occurrence on your path. So something's going to happen up ahead or around the corner in your dream if there's an accident you come across. Doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, but it's usually a prediction that there's going to be a hiccup in your path, but not necessarily something you need to worry about, because quite often we learn about ourselves on the karmic path through these experiences. And we have Diane on the line. So hello to you, Diane.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my call. I have this wonderful, incredible dream that makes me smile every time I think about it. And what it is I am this great, big, huge, huge person, okay? But I'm inside with a friend of mine and somebody that's very special, and he's sitting on a stool and he's laughing at me. And inside of this, everything that's in there is like going into somebody's old attic, but what it is all my past lives. And it's all these collections of wonderful, wonderful things. And I'm looking for something, and I'm looking frantically for something, and he just keeps laughing at me. And he's playing with his kaleidoscope as he's laughing at me. And he says, "What is it that you're looking for?" And I said, "I'm looking for my consciousness."
Oh, well, I mean, hardly needs any interpretation. I mean, that's what life is about. That's what all our lives are about, is us increasing our awareness of who we are. So
Right.
Very interestingly, you're going through the attic. So the attic, we've often said in the show, is about the spirit world. So you have a connection. You have an ability to get to people's Akashic records and see what's gone on previously in former lives. Now, you probably, in your dream, you're using this to look at your own life. But are you aware that you can do that for other people? Have you done it for other people in the past?
No, I haven't done it, but I am really concerned about a past life. And my concern is that I may be dragging something that's a negative into this life. And if I am, I want to get rid of it and only carry the positive.
Okay, well, we do want to also drag the negatives into this life, because when we drag them in, the ones that we particularly pick, it allows us then to deal with that issue, whatever it is. Say it's a fear of doing something, or fear of being laughed at, for instance, fear of being ridiculed. Whatever it happens to be, when you work through it in this lifetime, it no longer has any power that it had in the last lifetime. It's quite interesting how the design of the whole system works. You can bring something from a past life that is eons ago. It doesn't have to be just your last lifetime. Because of the dense vibration, you can leave lots of things behind, and you only pick them up again when you get back into the spirit world. Heidi, are you getting something on that one?
I was just being told what the thing is from the past life. It's not being taken seriously.
Aha!
But they were saying it's so minor, but you really just wanted to work on it, so you brought it with you.
Okay.
So what was it?
Not being taken seriously.
Oh, not being taken seriously. Oh, gee. That's interesting.
They say that you would have seen that a lot in this lifetime, or had moments where you felt you weren't being taken seriously, and that is what you've brought with you from the last lifetime, and you can't get rid of it. You just have to work on it, and then it will alleviate itself.
Yeah, I think I have worked on that, because I think people now listen.
Oh, good, because
they're listening.
They're saying it's not a huge concern.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is a wonderful dream. It makes me smile and laugh because it's just full of sunshine, and it's bright, and it's just incredibly wonderful.
Super. Sounds good. It's very it's a very wise dream too. I mean, rarely do you see a dream where we're aware of our past lives and realize that there's good and bad in them. So, yeah, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. So, accidents. We want to have a look at some dreams then, since that's what the show is about.
Yeah, so we've got one called Poor Credit Score.
I was jokingly saying we should include this in our nightmare competition. So.
I was back in time in the 1970s or 1980s in a store with my husband, but he and I were our current age and knew we were back in time. And I saw a white paper with my credit score as 130. I thought, that's not very good, but I was only a kid during this time period, so I guess it's not too bad. A chubby blonde lady behind the counter read my thoughts of trying to set up better credit for myself in the past to affect my future. She winked at me and said out loud not to worry about it because she tried it and it doesn't end up making a big difference. I decided not to worry about it. My husband and I returned to the present and I woke up.
Okay, so it's actually a nice dream. And the end of it is very good because she comes back to the present. So, of course, we can't go back into the past in reality, of course. So the dream is about her today being concerned about the fact that she's on a spiritual quest or is aware of her abilities. She's thinking, how does that stack up? Because I didn't really put the investment in way back in the 70s and 80s. So now if I'm in my 60s, am I way too late, or am I only like a shadow of what of where I should be, and so on and so on. And of course, this dream is saying no, not in your case, that it's all okay. And I actually think this dreamer sends us dreams using another email address as well. So I think this is somebody whose other dreams we've done. But anyway, we're not sure. But so it's a good dream, and we know in the dream she realizes it's a good thing. We know one of her abilities. She's telepathic. She can pick up on people's thoughts. So everybody think brick wall. Really upsets her. The blonde lady behind the counter is her guide. A blonde. Well, first of all, she has a title in the dream, but she being blonde is a very common thing for guides to be in dreams because it represents purity of thought, with hair representing thought. So whatever they tell you in a dream is perfect. They're always going to tell you what you need to do. And she's saying, don't worry about it. It's all good. And the credit score is 130. 1 is to do with your individual path. 3 is commitment to that path. And 0 is set it as a goal. So don't worry about the past. Focus on your path now and where you need to go with it. A very good dream. I mean, you rarely have a dream saying, don't worry. Usually they're saying, here's something you're not even concerned about that you need to be doing something about. But this one is saying, that thing you're concerned about, you can drop it. So it's nice.
Okay, and here we have another dream. Starts off, I am looking at palm-sized flat stones. Each one of these stones is a tiny island with living grass, trees and flowers. These stone islands are being held by 10 to 12 hands. Just hands, no people attached to the hands. A teacher and I are standing above these tiny islands, and he is showing me how to drip water down onto them. He wants me to do it correctly. I don't fully understand, but I know I am being taught a valuable lesson. The first few times I tried were not so great, but I start catching on to it quickly, and the teacher seems pleased with me.
Yeah, another nice dream. This is saying that the dreamer has the ability to do spiritual healing or to spiritually nurture and teach others, because the emphasis on the hands tells us it's spiritual healing, because that energy works through the hands, comes through the whole body, but the hands are key. And the task has been left in your capable hands. So you still get help. You still get to help yourself out of this, of course. But so it's I really love the symbols that are used here. Anyway, the emphasis is that each person, although in touch with the same source, they're all in touch with the water, which is spirit world, needs individual attention or care. So you can't just douse everybody with the same thing. And this dreamer is very aware of this. So it's not like, here's the spiritual lesson. Okay, I've said this to 20 people, move the next 20 people in. This person knows how to give the individual care required for each individual. And that's fantastic. And that's really a distinction with a spiritual teacher compared to, say like writing a book. They will get the same message to say to two different people and say it completely differently. And they won't even notice that they're saying it completely differently half the time. It's just they're so connected to the person with an open heart when they're doing it that they know what they need to say and how they need to say it. So it's really good. Have you got anything else? Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, so don't look for that. So if you're wondering how you're going to... the message might be for this particular dreamer, don't look for a one-size-fits-all, because your unique approach to each individual is what's important. And also, of course, realize that you're working with individuals, not groups. So this will make sense to you as your life has trained you for this. And that's it. That's what I have on that one. We'll take a quick break, actually, and come back in a moment. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake.
I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts. When you remove the old beliefs that keep you living the same patterns over and over in your career, relationships, or health, then your life begins to flow. It's as though you're in a boat, and in place of the waves that used to upset or rock your boat, you now have smooth, open water with the current carrying you where you want to go. It is my great pleasure to work with your guides and angels to teach you to clear old beliefs and conditioning, including cutting the ties, so you can have greater freedom and ease in your life. Work with me in person or over the phone. Call me today at 206-818-4680 or find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Made fresh each day for you. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back to So You Think You're Awake with Michael Sheridan, Heidi Brooke and Susan Pullen. Our show is about dreams and their meanings. So we're just going to do a few more dreams.
Yep. So this one is called Alien Invasion Dream. I see the alien ships hovering in the sky. I see a huge triangle-shaped craft directly ahead. There's also an unusual light anomaly happening in the sky at the same time. I'm trying to get my mother to look up and see the ships, but she's acting weird and deliberately avoiding looking up. I get suspicious and I make her look at me. Her green eyes have turned into one big blue, like Cyclops eye. It's a stunning color, very vivid, bright blue, and it's rimmed with a thick line of gold. She's laughing nervously and acting very strange. My thought is that the aliens have taken over her body, so I leave her and go to find my son. When I find him, he's much younger, maybe 9 years old. He doesn't want to put on his shoes so we can go. I'm trying to get us out of the house. When I go outside, I see that the house is a Southwestern-style house with a stucco exterior, and it's painted orange-red. There is a desert landscaping in the yard, and everything looks manicured and well taken care of. My ex-husband is there, so it's like we're still married, so it doesn't seem weird to me in the dream that he's there. He's yelling at my son and me and trying to get us away from this place, and he's scared. I'm not so scared, but I'm frustrated. I can't seem to find my son's shoes and the other things we need to take with us. My ex's mom is there too. She seems scared, but somewhat normal. She doesn't have a cyclops eye. I don't remember anything else from this dream.
Okay. The spaceships are your guides. Well, actually, the beings on the spaceships are your guides. And that's a very common thing in dreams for people who are really being told, look, start focusing on the other world more than you're focusing on it now. The triangle is commitment to this connection, and having to look up to it is asking you to make this goal or ideal a higher priority. Issues with your mom hold you back on this goal. That's why the mom comes up so much, since she is the one that avoids looking up. The large blue eye is referencing your third eye, so it being larger is really good. You have to force her a little, so this shows working on your mom's issues is really good for this psychic connection for you. Gold is a healing colour, so it's positive in the dream. And we've seen your dreams before, and always with you we see healing is to be more included in what you do. There are aliens taking over her body, and that's about trans-channeling. And it's quite different from the type of channeling that you normally do. But a trans-channel can get more information because they really relinquish their thoughts and their control of their body while they're channeling. In fact, a trans-channel, while it's working, they're hearing the message as their mouth speaks it. It's kind of sounds kind of funny. It's the one that Hollywood nearly always shows trans channels. Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost, she was a trans channel. Rarely do you come across somebody who's that type. Anyway, the dream connects your mom issues with frustration. So when you feel frustrated, that's where it's coming from. James could be there to show how it also affects relationships. But most likely the feeling that was dominant in the relationship is also connected with your mom. So whatever is there, look for that in the relationship with your mom. It's all about working on the issues with your mom. Next dream.
Okay. I was dating Colin Firth. We were hugging and then lying down, fully clothed, in an embrace. I was feeling like it doesn't get better than this. Then I thought, well, it might, but this feels pretty great. We weren't in my home, yet we were lying on the floor a short distance away from my husband's grand piano. I could see underneath it. I think there were a few Christmas decorations out indicating that the Christmas holiday was approaching, but not too near. The scene of our dating was like a college environment, and my mom, who crossed over 16 and a half years ago, came to visit while he was sleeping in a single-bed dorm type room. I decided not to wake him to meet my mom and closed the door to where he was sleeping. It would be very much like my childish self to not introduce her or tell her about Colin at all. Yet I decided I would certainly introduce her when he woke up. My mom and I went for a walk together on campus. Again, not something we would have ever done during her lifetime on this plane. While he was sleeping, some people were making sure I cared for my teeth in a certain manner. I was unfamiliar. Behind the bathroom mirror cabinet was something other than flossing, brushing, and I learned to apply this to my teeth. Okay.
So it's all about channeling again. Colin Firth is an actor. And actors in dreams represent channeling. They don't say their own lines. They're told what to say in the movie, and that's the same with a channel. They're told what to say by their guides. Hey, I just realised, Heidi, if I could learn to be a ventriloquist and pass off what I'm thinking as coming from one of your guides, I could really do well with that, couldn't I?
You can channel too, though.
No, but I mean, if I say your guide said put out the garbage, you're not going to do that. Whereas if they said it to you through your head.
I think we need to do a show about avoiding karma.
Anyway, the Dreamers a channel. The Christmas is about, so we have Colin Firth as that, then the grand piano. The music is about channeling as well. The piano, the grand piano, it's saying it's the design, it's the grand design for her life. She's meant to be doing this. The black and white keys on the piano says that she kind of has a black and white attitude towards this, so she needs to deal with that. Christmas is about birth. It's about the celebration of Jesus' birth, but you're everything in the dream, so it's about the celebration of your birth. And you came here and brought this channeling ability with you too. And in fact, we got this dream some time ago, way before Christmas. Then you say the scene of our dating was like a college environment. So that's, again, college is usually about spiritual dreams. And this guy is asleep and you decide not to introduce him to your mom and all that. So it says you need to wake up your channeling ability. So this is saying you're letting it lie dormant, but you need to wake it up. Channel your mom. Your mom has passed over 16 and a half years ago. So channel your mom. She's going to come through. Quite often we see loved ones will act as an intermediary between guides till you get a relationship with your guide, because they already have the warmth and compassion and trust, I should say, rather than compassion. And that relationship can definitely be leveraged by your guides in order to introduce you to them. Is there anything else? No, there's nothing else. I mean, there are things coming up about reproductive system issues there, but we're not going to go into that. Any questions on that, Heidi? Since you read it out, and you looked like you had a question there.
No, I was just going to continue the very last bit.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We'll leave it at that because we can get some more dreams in. Next.
So this is a dream that we've had for quite a while. And
we finally got to
my
it.
apologies to the dreamer. I know we've had this a long time. So this is called Brophy's house. I'm at Dot's house. It's a friend's mother. I think they're just moving in. The room has a fridge and a king-size bed and another king-size bed on a platform, like a half-second floor. There's no art on the walls, but there are nail holes showing.
Okay, I have no idea what it means. Just kidding. After all that, imagine hearing it and then that. So the king-size bed says it's, beds in dreams are going to be about your spiritual side. They're not always, but in this case it is, because the emphasis is on the size of the bed and the king-size bed. So it's saying you're a spiritual teacher, leader, and a spiritual teacher or leader is somebody who helps others with an open and compassionate heart. Very much female energy. And it's saying it is time to set your heart on your spiritual goals. Currently, you don't show them outwardly, and you don't show them outwardly is because there's no art on the walls. We can just see the nail holes. So art in dreams would also be about goals and ideals. So here you're not showing them, you're not displaying them. So you have them on the inside most likely, but now it's time for you to say to others, and this could be a relationship thing, although it's not shown up in this dream, you're holding yourself back in some way because you don't show this outwardly, that this is something you want to do, but now is the time you need to do it. And I'm glad we finally got that one. It's always been in the stack.
So this is called twin readings. I gave a psychic reading to my twin nephews and had to ship them off after. In my dream, they're only around 5 years old, which was their age last time I saw them. I realized that one was left behind. When I went to look at the post office, instead of my nephew, there was a very large wooden staff. In fact, it was too large to use as a staff, but it was shaped like one.
Okay, so you have said many times before, a staff is a shamanic symbol.
Yeah, in Northern European shamanic work, they use a staff often.
Okay.
So.
And we've seen it in many dreams too. So here, the dreamer has a channeling ability. Twins quite often will show up in dreams about channeling because it requires both hemispheres of the brain for it to work. It requires male and female energy working in unison. And so the dreamer has that, but she needs to go back to it's a karmic path because we have 5 coming up. But she used it. She has used it in reality in the past, but she's left it behind. The post office is also that, by the way, because it's about where information or messages are sent and sorted out and then passed on to who they need to go to. And that's what a channel does, receives this information, sorts it out and passes it on. So the dreamer's a healer and a channel, but they have kind of neglected the healing ability. So they need to go back and pick that up. And Heidi, feel free to jump in at any point if you get things that we're skipping over.
Oh, I will. So here's another dream. They titled it Parents' Wedding. We are at a hotel. It's not a nice hotel. It's somewhat run down. Mom and Dad have gotten remarried, and I see my mom in a beautiful white gown and veil. And she's younger and beautiful, though her hair is black. It is not in waking life. We are on our way home, and I realize I forgot my suitcase in the lobby. When I go back for it, it's been emptied and someone has stolen all the contents. It's also soaking wet. I make my way over again to where Mom and Dad are, and Dad asks me why I'm so sad, but I don't say anything about my suitcase. Dad tells me that I'm invited to the celebration that my sister's putting on when we get home, but Mom says she understands that I have to work.
Okay, so in this dream, it's the dreamer is putting work before developing and using her, what she's meant to be doing in her life. The suitcase, the lobby is about reception at life. So this brings back, and the fact that we have Mom and Dad showing up in the dream, it says that the way you are in life is very much affected by how you were brought into the world, the impact of the birth. So you need to go back, look at stuff in childhood, deal with those. And the suitcase is about baggage that you've got from that time in your life. Now, it's really good to lose the contents of your suitcase in a dream, even though in the dream it's going to feel terrible. It's actually very, very good. And someone has stolen all the contents, and that's what you want. The suitcase also being soaking wet is good because this is saying this is about you getting into life. Is there anything else here? Dad asked me why I'm sad. Okay, so sadness is coming up. You don't say anything. He tells you that you're invited to the celebration. Okay, so this is about was your life celebrated at the start the same way, the way that you needed it to be? So you look at issues between kind of, it kind of has a feel of sibling rivalry, but it's not going to be that. But it's sort of like, did you get treated the same way as your siblings? How do you feel about that now? If things come up there, then you need to go back and look at that, because whatever makes that come up is the thing that holds you back from going out and doing what you're meant to be doing in life. It's not really a huge slap on the wrist or anything like that, but it's just telling you where you need to go.
On the trip home, the tour guide is throwing candies at everyone, and they land on the floor. I use my iPhone flashlight to find them because I love toffee, and the light is brilliant. The carpet is blue. Okay,
so doesn't matter that you love toffee. You're being told, watch your diet. It's not the only thing in the dream that was about diet. But the guide throwing candies, this is good. This is saying, look, you need to treat yourself. You use your iPhone flashlight to find the candy. So it's saying your connection with the light, your communication with your guides, because an iPhone is all about communication. So we had channeling before. So use your channeling ability, because you're really going to get rewards from using this. And this is something that you definitely are being asked to do. The light being brilliant is also very, very good in that dream. And the carpet being blue, we see blue coming up more than any other colour in dreams. Maybe not more, but it comes up with even when other colours come up. But blue is about including this as part of your philosophy of life. So expect that you get rewards. Expect that you get treats. Don't expect that your guides are just giving you information that's, this is going to be hard, this is going to be difficult. It is a good thing. Let's have a look. Do we have time to squeeze one more in? I really like this next dream, the dog dish.
So it's a warm summer day, and I'm walking home from somewhere with a work colleague. I'm carrying a blue dog dish with water in it, and I notice that my colleague doesn't have one. I'm feeling a little boastful that I've prepared enough to have brought one with me. When we cross the street, however, he leans over and picks up a dog dish that was waiting for him there. Whenever we cross a street, there's another dish of water waiting for him, like they were planted there just for him. I'm still carrying mine, and the water keeps splashing around, and I wish I had been smart enough to do what my colleague did.
Yeah, now aren't you sorry you boasted and bragged about it? This is a really good dream. Forget about the colleague. So it's showing you that there's two ways of doing things. One is you think that you need to bring everything you need with you and prepare yourself before you venture into anything. But the dream is saying, no, that's not the case. You already, before you set up your life, you set up everything you're going to need at all the points in your life that you need it. So like this colleague going along and picking up the dishes, picking up the water when he needs it. Absolutely perfect. So you need to realize that that's what you're to do. And this dreamer actually just quit her job, not at the time of this dream, but she has now. She's quit her job and started up her own business. So this is really good. So this dream is saying, look, that's the right thing for you to do, because you're going to find that when you need things, that it's going to be provided, because it's part of what your life purpose is. And I'm wondering now, do we have, we'll get this other one in. Maternity bed, it's called. Very short dream. There's a very pregnant woman wearing a white skirt and a lilac top trying to make herself comfortable on top of a bed. So being pregnant in a dream is really good. That says about you are going to bring a new aspect of yourself into life, and it's always a positive aspect of yourself. It's your responsibility to bring this in. Okay, I didn't really get to do it. So that's going to be our show. What I want to say is I do have a course starting in December 12th and 13th in Seattle. That's an in-person course. I do have an online course also starting on January 17th. So if anybody's interested in those, you can look them up on the website, dream-analysis.com. Thanks to our producer and engineer, Eric Ryder. Thanks to Susan Pullen and Heidi Brooke for being here and being so much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and especially for sending your dreams. And our quote this week is, it's more like a little excerpt from Simon Sinek. He says, making money is not a why. Revenues, profits, salaries and other monetary measurements are simply results of what we do. The why is what inspires us.